Hello and welcome to Stamper School. This is Julie Maxon, the Maine Stamper. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I live in Maine, USA. These short lessons in the basics of Stampin' Up! Products are intended to give you the confidence you need in paper crafting, whether you're a complete beginner or an entirely experienced stamper. Now today's Stamper School lesson is really about baby wipes. It's about how we use baby wipes while we do our stamping. And I never recommend baby wipes for cleaning your stamps, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I don't recommend baby wipes, but I'm also going to show you and talk to you about two ways or two reasons to actually use baby wipes. So they are useful, but in very limited capacity. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that happens, and it's not always a good thing when it happens, right? So, and this actually happened to me last week. I was stamping with Melon Mambo ink, and I was also stamping with Daffodil Delight ink. Now you know that these two colors are completely contrasting, right? We have a very dark ink, we have a very light ink. And I know in another stamping school lesson, we did talk about labeling your stamp pad so that you can tell what color ink is in the stamp pad as it sits flat on your desk, so that you don't accidentally ink up your stamp in the wrong pad and then, you know, have a problem. So this is what happened. I inked up my balloon stamp in Melon Mambo and I stamped it, and I didn't like what happened. I didn't like what happened because when I stamped it on yellow, it looked very red, and I didn't want a yellow and red balloon. I wanted a yellow and pink balloon. So the next thing I did, I forgot that I didn't clean my stamp off. So I went over to my yellow stamp pad and I stamped it. And this is something that I don't want you to do. So I don't know if you can see there's a red outline in my yellow ink from this color, which I'm now going to stamp down over here just so that I can get rid of the ink off there. Actually, it's not going to go on that one, is it? They're not contrasting. So this is supposed to be yellow, and you can see that it came out kind of orangey in color, right? So that's because I didn't clean my my stamp in between ink pads. I wasn't paying attention, and now I have a stain, a red stain or a pink stain in my yellow ink. So to the rescue. This is how you're going to fix this. Now this does happen to the best of us. It happened to me. So this is a time that you're going to use a baby wipe, and you're going to actually blot the wrong color, and it always happens to the lightest color ink pads. If I went the opposite way and did yellow in the Melon Mambo, you wouldn't really see that the yellow was in the Melon Mambo because the yellow would be absorbed. You wouldn't really see it. So you're going to see that I'm pulling up a lot of ink onto my baby wipe, but I'm also getting rid of the stain that's on top of my yellow ink pad. So you just want to keep blotting this up with a baby wipe until that stain is gone. Once that stain is gone off of there, you've gotten rid of all of the color on the surface. You're going to have a really light area here where I've sucked a whole bunch of ink up with the baby wipe, and that's a good reason to use a baby wipe. So now we're going to tuck the baby wipes away because we're done with the baby wipes. This is where your ink refills are super important. I know I talked about ink refills as well. So you're just going to refill your ink pad now and put new ink down where you sucked all of that ink up to get rid of that nasty stain that was in there. So this is what you're going to do when that happens to you. And hopefully it doesn't happen to you too often, because definitely not our favorite thing, right? But it does happen. It happened to me. It happens to the best of us. So this is how you're going to fix that. And then you can continue to re-ink this with your inker until your pad looks perfectly all inked up completely across. So that's how you take care of the wrong stamp in the wrong ink pad. Now again, if it happens in the opposite direction where you have a light color into a dark color, you're not really going to see that. The ink will absorb in, and what's going to happen is you're going to have a lighter pink perhaps for a little while, but eventually it'll kind of work itself out. And this is always why I recommend you buy the re-inker when you buy the stamp pad, because even though you think you have lots of pink ink here, you're not going to need to re-ink this for a long time. Accidents happen. I could stamp Early Espresso into this, and Early Espresso is a dark brown color. The brown would be on my pink ink pad. So there's a reason that you want those ink refills, besides just because you think you're going to use all of your ink up. Now let's talk a little bit about other ways you can clean up your stamp pads. So when you use baby wipes, again, I don't recommend that you use baby wipes very often, right? But if you use a baby wipe to clean off your stamp, which I know a lot of people like to do this. They like to clean off their stamp with a baby wipe because they think, oh, that's just quick and easy. There's fuzzies. There's a lot of fibers in baby wipes, and fuzzies get on your stamps. And then when you ink it up into your ink pad, your stamp pad, right, the fuzzies are transferring from your stamp. Now they're in your ink pad. And then the next time you stamp and continue to stamp, there's going to be fuzzies. Eventually you're going to have a fuzzy buildup, and it's going to affect your stamped image because it's going to be full of fuzz. So a good way to clean off an ink pad that is full of fuzzies, first of all, don't use baby wipes to clean your stamps. Highly recommend you don't use baby wipes to clean your stamps. This is painter's tape. It's just really easy to clean up your stamp pad. You're just going to put the painter's tape down in sections, and you're kind of just going to run it across lightly. This is just like defuzzing your sweaters, right? Maybe you have cat and dog hair all over your sweater, and you grab a piece of tape. It's the same process, right? It's going to pick up any little fuzzies that are on the ink pad. Yes, it'll pick up a little bit of ink, but it won't pick up a lot of ink. So you're not necessarily going to need to re-ink this right away, but it's going to take all of those little fuzzies or hairs or whatever you've got in your ink pad. It's going to take those off of there. So that's a great way to clean up an ink pad. Now let's talk about the right way to clean up your stamps. I'm going to recommend 2 ways. We have the original Stampin' Scrub. So this comes in a little case. It's self-contained. You can see that I just opened this up. So it's kind of a hard plastic case. Opens up, and it has 2 little symbols at the top corners. There's raindrops over here, and on this side there's sunshine. And that's to just help you to know which side should be wet and which side should be dry. So this is kind of a wash and dry situation. There is a Stampin' Mist that you can buy the refill for, right? And you're going to just wet down the wet side. So you're using this as a spray. It has a really sweet, kind of like a baby powder smell. So you're going to wet this down because you want this to be wet. This has little fibers in it that are going to help to really deep clean your stamps. So you're just going to scrub away here into the wet side. And you can kind of see like the cleaner here working. This also conditions your stamps, just in case you weren't aware of that. It also kind of leaves a conditioning on here to help them to remain nice and supple and all that good stuff. So on the sunshine side, I'm just drying now. And this has, again, it's like a scrubbing pad, right? So I'm just going to dry this off. And there we go. My stamp is now clean. So that's one option. I highly recommend this option, or maybe you're anti-chemical and you want to just go super simple route and clean with water. That's where the Stampin' Chamois comes in. This is the Stampin' Chamois. It comes purple and it stains. So you can see the stains here, right? This stains. This is just water. I put mine in a clear acrylic case. Stampin' Up! Sells these by the 4-pack. So I keep these in here. This is just water. When this needs to be rinsed out, I just run this under water, squeeze it out. Lots of ink will come down into the sink. So I keep this wet. I keep this in this case. And again, you're just going to use this, and you're going to obviously clean your stamp. You can clean it flat, but you can also pick this up. This has a little bit more of like a dishcloth mentality to it, where you can kind of manipulate. Maybe you need to clean off your blocks. This has a little bit more of a versatile use. And again, it's going to stain, but those stains are not going to transfer. So that is a couple of great ways that I recommend that you clean your stamps, whether you like the Stampin' Scrub or the chamois. Now with the cleaning of the Stampin' Scrub, as I mentioned, with the chamois, I just run it under water. Same thing with the Stampin' Scrub. Eventually this needs to be cleaned. These pads do not come out of this case. So I would run this entire case under water, let it drain really well. And then I actually kind of tent it upside down like this onto either an old towel or some paper towels, and let it drip dry overnight. It will continue to drip ink, I have found. So when you drip dry it, make sure you have something underneath that you're not worried about getting stained. So that's a little bit about looking at how you would clean your stamps, how you would fix up any stamps that have been accidentally damaged, any of your stamp pads that have been damaged. And that is our look today at the baby wipes, when to use them, when not to use them. So I did mention when to use them. Also, I mentioned you would want to use them to clean your hands. That's the last time I would recommend you use your baby stamps, is for cleaning your hands. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson in Stamper School and found this class helpful. If you have a topic you'd like me to cover in a future lesson, just comment with your suggestions or ideas. Stay creative, and see you in the next session of Stamper School. Bye.